Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Peters. Senator Scott, please.
Thank you, Chairman. First off, I want to thank both of you for your clarity and for your commitment to the freedoms of this country. So, Admiral Richard, as we all know, we're in a position where we've got to deter two nuclear armed great power adversaries, Russia and China. First off, based on the funding you received and based on how the Congress has been acting over the since you've had this job, do you feel comfortable that Congress has your back, that we're going to provide you the resources that you're going to be able to deter both Russia and Communist China?
Senator, first, I would applaud my department because over the course of my tour, we are now able to say, and we'll see, I expect this in the next budget, but the last one was one of the first ones we could say not only was the strategic deterrent forces fully funded, so was the nuclear command and control, which are the two pieces inside the Department of Defense. We're going to need to continue to do that. And additionally, Senator, continue to ask ourselves the question, what additional capability, capacity, and posture might we need to do? So yes, I think Congress, quote, as you said, has my back if we would pass a budget. The budgets are adequate. We just need them enacted.
Yeah. So right now, do you think we have enough capability to prevent Russia and Communist China from intimidating us and our allies?
Sir, my forces are ready right now to do anything the President asks us to do.
Okay. Admiral Richard, you've been watching Putin's statements, and you might not be able to answer all these questions, but about his potential use of nuclear weapons. So I've got a couple of questions. The first one is, have you seen any tangible operational changes following Putin's order to increase the readiness of his nuclear forces?
Senator, I would like to answer that question in closed session, but I will say we have been thinking through this class of problem for years.
Second, given your experience observing foreign leaders, which would be part of your job, in your personal opinion, do you believe America and our allies, especially other nuclear powers, should treat Putin's words and actions as a legitimate indication that he is crazy enough and willing to employ nuclear weapons of any kind?
Senator, I'll go into more detail in the closed session, but I would look to his previous actions to give us a clue as to what his future ones might be.
Has he, the things that he's said outside his nuclear capability, has he basically followed through?
Senator, again, I would prefer to answer that in closed session.
Yep. Thank you. Joan Dickinson, is the U.S. fully treating our outer space as a war-fighting domain, and are we developing systems consistent with that policy to combat and be able to defeat Russia and Communist China in their space capabilities?
We certainly have seen some activity by both Russia and China over the last few years, going back to 2007, 2008, when the Chinese destroyed a satellite on orbit, and then just as recently as November with the Russian Noodle event that occurred. So we can see, at least from our competitors' standpoint, they are in fact doing testing and development in that domain.
It seems like there's people who are trying to talk about we ought to cooperate with these adversaries, but don't we need to know that they need to know that we're going to deter and defeat them in space, and we have to be willing to do everything we can to be able to beat them?
Well, I think, Senator, that we each and every day that we're operating in space, we are doing that very thing in terms of deterrence.
Do you feel like you've been given the resources to be able to do that?
I have the resources that I need to perform my mission today.
So I believe that Communist China and Russia are planning to use outer space against us. So what's your biggest concern about their plans, and what do we need to do that we're not doing?
Well, it's fundamental, Senator, back to my opening statement when I said in order to understand, in order to be able to articulate what is happening, I've got to have exquisite domain awareness. I need to be able to tell you what I see in the space domain in terms of the space domain awareness as a critical function of that, to be able to interpret what's happening so that I can make recommendations and take actions that I need to.
Thank you. Joan Dickinson, I know that Space Force has only been recently created, but do you feel like you've had sufficient progress toward integrating its capabilities all across the Pentagon?
So, Senator, that's a great question. Our relationship with the Space Force is as you would expect it to be. We've got a very close relationship with General Raymond and his team in terms of being the service that provides most of my capability to the combatant command. We are also working with the other services because they, in fact, have capabilities that I can use in the space domain as well. So it is really not just a relationship and integration with Space Force. It is across the department to each one of the services.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Chairman Reed.
Thank you, Senator Scott. Senator Cotton, please.